Today we're going to look at hardtail news and look at some of the new developments, the new stories and press releases that have come out, and we're going to glance through them together and I'll share my thoughts. Next up is the Spot Rocker. If you remember, the older Spot Rocker was a Reynolds 853 steel hardtail. It was blue, it was beautiful. It was also belt drive like this. This is an interesting bike. Spot gave me some details about this a few months ago. I wasn't allowed to talk about it, and I've been so excited to see this drop, and I'm stoked for what they've got going on. Let's talk through it. If you look at it, it does not look like an aggressive hardcore shredder. It looks a lot like the Yeti with similar intentions, probably a similar price, but this one can be run single speed, unlike the Yeti. And I really like Spot. They push it and they do a lot of improvements that make a ton of sense that aren't just improvements for marketing's sake. I ride a Spot full suspension. They're my favorite full suspensions. I really love them. And I hope to be able to get my hands on one of these. I know the guy's there, so there's a chance I'm gonna get one of these someday for review. Let's take a look at this bike though. It's carbon. Look at this, view the geometry right off the bat. We're gonna do that because that's what I am all about before pictures and marketing speak. So, size medium has a 440 mil reach. A little bit shorter than the Yeti. It's the same size as a small Kona, but they have different intentions. So that just goes to show right here. This would be a small if it were that Kona, where it's a medium here by the Spot. So I'd definitely be a medium because going down to a small is a 410. That's super short, which is great for very small riders. And a large is 470. That's significantly longer. So I would not fit on a large, and I'm betting the seat tube would be too long. Yeah, that'd be too long for me anyway. Bummer, I wish that was a little shorter, but 470 is too long for me anyway. 440 is fine. I'm probably gonna wanna run a 60 mil stem on a 440 mil reach. Nice high stack. Seat tube length, 16.1. Plenty of room for me to run a long dropper and slam it. Head tube angle, 67 degrees, so exactly the same as the Yeti. And I think these have a similar approach or intended purpose. Although this looks a little bit lighter, a little more svelte, a little bit faster, this might lean a little more XC than kind of that trail shredder that Yeti was going for, but who knows? This is all just judging off that Geo cable. I gotta give him huge props for putting that Geo front and center right up top. Let's look at a couple other things. Seat tube angle, 75.5 degrees. I don't know if that is effective or actual. Still almost identical to the Yeti. Bottom bracket drop, 50 mil. That's safe, not as low as like that Kona. The Kona's gonna have that lower bottom bracket for railing corners more. This will give you a little bit more clearance. Let's see. Ooh, I see 27.5 plus and 29. Yes, I love plus bikes, especially single speed, especially on a hardtail. I love having that option, so I'm glad that's an option. Rear center is what people call the chainstay. 438, so it's 5 mils longer than the Yeti, and you will feel that. That's the minimum. That's with the dropout slammed all the way forward. Max is 453. That's super long. That's even longer than the Kodik Solaris Max that I reviewed. So you've got a lot of range of motion in there, so you can dial it in for your size. That's a bummer. 438, that's longer than I typically like. That is less playful, more planted, better at sweeping turns, harder to manual, harder to bunny hop, harder to whip around as much for me. But I mean, look at this thing. That's not really, doesn't look like a manual machine that's just meant to play around everywhere. Oh, that would be cool if that was 425. That's usually my biggest complaint with Spot bikes is how long the rear end is. Wheelbase stand over. Okay, great. Let's go back up and take a look at some more things. Get up in there. Let's try that. Okay, that's clickable. That's not. But I did see something down here. Take it for a spin. We've got matte hot tomato and matte black. These are their traditional colors. I like their hot tomato. I'm not a red guy, but I love their red color. This is sweet. Okay, so I see this, and I'm curious if it has bosses underneath it. So I can zoom in here. Okay, this is cool. So Spot is a direct-to-consumer brand. That means you cannot buy this in a shop, and the only way you're gonna get your hands on one is to attend an event where they have them available, or to go to their shop in Colorado. I can't do either of those, but having this little 3D model answers a ton of questions. So for example, no, it does not have water bottle bosses down there. Yes, it does have them on the seat tube and on the top of the down tube. This is cool. You can see the shapes. This cannot be cheap to do. External routing, look at that. Okay, the Spot Rive that I rode had this. There's a little notch cut out all the way down the down tube. So it's smooth, it doesn't bump out. It's actually inset into the frame, and so it's out of the way, but it's external for easy access and changes. Thank you, Spot. That is amazing. Let's see. Interesting looking seat stays here. Kind of pointy in there. There's no big, massive bridge there. I'll bet these are actually flexible. And Spot uses a carbon leaf spring on older models. Right now they're using a titanium leaf spring. But the carbon leaf spring would flex in their full suspensions, so they know how to make carbon flex. And I'm actually really excited about this because I'm hoping they added a little bit of flex to the rear end of this so it doesn't beat you up like some carbon hardtails do. Alright, cool. This is fun to see. This is the single speed edition. They have a geared edition as well. But you know me, I'm a single speed nerd and I love this. That is cool. Okay, I want to zoom in on that. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I can't like swipe it right. Still, this is a really cool way to get a closer look at a bike that you can't see in person usually. Really cool lines. I like the tubing up here. It looks really sleek. It looks like a fast XC bike. Once again, it's carbon. I'll bet you could bike pack on this, but wrap your bike really good. There's a lot of room in that front triangle, so you could probably fit some big water bottles in there. It looks like the rotors are even smaller than the Yeti had, so I'm guessing that's to save weight, which makes me think it's a little bit more XC based than maybe the Yeti. Who knows? I mean, these guys are all just picking parts to put on there, and people do look at the final weights when making decisions. It looks a lot like a hardtail version of that Spot Rive that I rode. I rode the Rive 115 on my 60-mile day on the Black Canyon Trail. I would love to try this on that same route with the belt drive. So belt drive is cool. There's no grease on your chain. It's a Gates carbon belt drive, and there's no lube you put on it. They say when it starts squeaking, you throw water on it, and that's all the maintenance you have to do. I've never ridden a belt drive, but Spot's kind of famous for having their bikes be belt drive compatible. All right, let's take a look at this a little more. I love the 3D tool. That's really neat. Helps you feel, it's the closest thing to going into a shop without going into a shop to see it. Single speed mountain biking is trail riding distilled to its purest elements. You, the trail, one gear, no excuses. I like that, and I agree with it. Our new Rocker SS embodies that pure simplicity and elevates it with a lightweight yet burly full carbon frame, a red-hot belt drive, and other innovations that make it the fastest and most technologically advanced single speed on the market. That's a bold claim. I don't know if it's the fastest. It is the most technologically advanced that I've seen. They've got some cool stuff going on. Let's read the full details. Weighing in as low as 2.8 pounds, the Rocker's frame, upgraded from our previous steel version, is nimble, strong, and versatile with derailleur-ready dropouts should you decide to gear up down the road. The Gates carbon drive belt never stretches, never rusts, withstands chain-snapping torque loads, and is a proven race winner. We spec a dropper post on the wide diameter seat post for aggressive descending, and the Rocker has ample clearance for wide tires that enhance ride feel and control. Our patented Kobe 3 slider dropouts make rear flats fixes a cinch. Just pop the wheel back in without having to adjust the belt tension or fiddle around. Whoa, that's cool. So you can pull the wheel off without adjusting the dropouts. I really like that. Spot was a pioneer in the resurgence of single-speed mountain biking with our steel Rockers. Now we've raised the bar again by creating the ultimate no-nonsense grab-and-go bike for after-work fitness rides or weekend races. Rediscover your passion for fast and light trail riding in its simplest form. It's just you and the mountain. Now go. They didn't use the word downcountry. Thank you, Spot. So it sounds like it's an XC race bike and a weekend bike and like hammering out fitness laps. And that makes sense. That's how I use my single speed. I ride it all the time. Anytime I'm on a solo ride, I pick the single speed. It's great fitness. It's really fun. Sometimes riding a single speed with a geared bike buddy, your pace is different. The single speeds have to charge up the hills, whereas the geared guys want to sit and spin. So sometimes it's hard to mix those two. Fortunately, in my riding group, we got about 15 guys, and about 5 of us are on single speeds, and we all kind of hang out together. 90% of the time we can ride with the geared guys, but 10% of the time when there's a big climb or something, we have to zoom on ahead to power up that and sprint all the way up while the geared guys sit back and spin. So like I said, this is available as a geared bike as well, but I'm a single speed nerd, so I'm looking at the belt drive one. So now that I've looked at the geometry, let's pretend I was going to order one. Would I want 29 or 27.5 plus? I'd want 27.5 plus. I don't care about speed as much as just having fun, and I love plus tires on a single speed. I'd want a medium size based off that reach number. I'm not going to do the measurement guide because I know what I like. And I'm going to do hot tomato. Holy cow, 22.5 pounds for 3,300 bucks. Now some people are going to say, 3,300 bucks for a bike with no derailleur? That's right. This is another wonder bike like that Yeti. Super light, carbon. But it just goes to show there are people out there who still want hardtails, and we want good ones, and we ride them by choice. So yeah, this is expensive. This is up there with the Yeti. Now the 4-star build, 5-star build, that's a half pound lighter. 6-star build, 20.9 pounds in a 27.5 plus. That's probably lighter than I want. Even 22.5, that is ridiculously light. I've never ridden a hardtail that light. Let's take a look at the build levels. 4-star build, you're going to get a Performance 34 step cast, which is significantly lighter than a regular 34, so that's lighter than the one on the Yeti. We've got the same belt drive and sprockets between them. The main difference is going to be fork, crankset, and like the brakes. They're all going to have this bike yoke revive, which is a fantastic dropper, a race face affect handlebar, SRAM level TL. Honestly, I'd be fine with a 4-star build. Would it be great to save a pound or two? Sure, but I'm fine. So it's going to use Stan's Baron wheels. Let's see what the 6-star, the 6500 version does. This is an upgrade. The Envy M635 i9 Hydra wheels, that is going to be noticeable. Okay, that would be really cool. If budget was no option, that would be pretty awesome. And it's got Envy bars, race face turbine stem, 60 mil stem. Okay, I'm actually glad it has a 60 mil stem with that little bit shorter reach. Anyway, this looks like a really cool bike. I'm so excited that they announced this. I think this would be a killer XC marathon lightweight trail bike. I don't think this would be my only bike. Even with gears, it looks way too XC oriented to me. Fortunately, it does not have integrated headset, so you could run an angle set on this. That would be a fun experiment. Slacken this thing out to 65 degrees, get a super, super light slack bike. So chalk this up as another bike I'm super excited to throw a leg over. This thing looks seriously fun, seriously light. I hope it's not too lightweight. I'm bummed the chain stays are so long. I wish they were closer to 425, 430, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm excited to try one of these. I hope I get to try one in Plus, and a 6-star build would just be absolutely amazing. Love their little groovy guides that housing sits in. Spot, you're doing some awesome stuff. Your website looks great. The configuration looks great. That 3D tool looks great. The pictures look fantastic, and I got all the info that I needed. Can't wait to see one of these on the trail and see what it's like.